allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Morning, Marty.
We got the agenda ahead of us. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. With that, we've got the minutes from last Monday's board meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
I read the minutes, I thought they looked very good. I'd make a motion that we approve them. I will second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any other discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. First item on the agenda today is sand storage replacement. Carl? Morning.
Didn't we just do this?
Sure seems like it, doesn't it? Time flies when you're having fun.
I think that was something else.
I'll show you, give you a little printout here of the history of where we're at on that project. The reason why it seems like it keeps coming up is because we do different pieces of it, kind of alternating. So sometimes we'll do a server replacement, sometimes it's a storage replacement, so it's kind of on an alternating thing. This is on the storage side. A little bit of perspective. 2014 is when back up here, 2013, the PS 6100s were put in, so that was 5 years ago. And those are our newest storage components. The other note I have on 2014 is that that's when we replaced all the physical servers. And, you know, they won't be up for renewal to at least 2019 or 2020. So we gotta, that's kind of the cycle that the servers are on when we're talking about storage, the SANs or the storage unit. So the, where we're sitting at right now, you can see on the back side of that page, those are the current virtual servers we run. There are 20 servers on our equipment. And then we have this doesn't include the comm center that has its own servers and storage unit. So then going back and forth with a couple of our vendors. We have used, in the past, we've gotten quotes from IP Pathways, Arion, RTI. RTI's done a couple of projects for us. We haven't been real happy with the quality of their work on the service side. We did put in EMC storage devices at the comm center. They did it for us. We're happy with the EMCs. We weren't real happy with the way that was set up and had to go through that. So we did not get a quote from RTI. We did get one from IP Pathways and Arion. IP Pathways uses a storage device called NetApp, and it's a very good product. They're just a little pricey. We had them quote our original project, and it was considered the Cadillac back then because it did. It was one of the only products that did deduplication, which basically says that it'll back up files, but it only backs up one. You may have 20 or 30 files that are the same because you're using same servers. If it sees as it's a duplication of another file, it doesn't back them all up. It deduplicates files that are exactly the same, so that saves space. Since then, almost all of the storage devices do that, so it isn't anything special anymore. So we were looking basically for, IP Pathways also has a really good reputation in the state with other counties. RN has a good reputation, and of course we use their products now. And in the meantime, Dell bought EMC, so now you gotta get the best of both worlds as far as between Dell and EMC for storage and servers. So the first page of the storage array refresh proposal shows a comparison between IP Pathways and Arion. This would actually just replace what we have. It wouldn't give us any room for growth, but it's an apples to apples type of proposal. You'll see that IP Pathways was about $10,000 more than Arion. And again, most of that goes to that cost of the NetApp appliances.
Also, Net, there's 48 terabytes of raw storage in the drives and capacity side.
Yeah,
And they were only.
they did a different setup. They had less here, but they put double out there, or they put more out there on the DR side. But it's just disk suspend for storage, and then, but it doesn't have as good a capacity, because there's no dual controllers. It's a
I
cheaper
seen that.
unit.
But
You know, it's just, they threw some more drives in it, but it's still a cheaper unit. And
More storage, but
I
single
would
controller.
rather see the same setup on both sides,
Okay.
you know, so that we know what we're dealing with. And it still came out higher price. And the storage itself on some of that stuff, you'll see here when we get into some of these options, depends on what you use for storage as to how expensive it is or not. So anyhow, just based on those, I assume we would probably want to go with the cheaper bid anyhow, so I went and explored some more options with Arion as far as what we could do for storage. So the second page has Arion, you see option 1. Right now, all our drives are hard drives of spinning disks, and that is a slower way to access storage. If you use solid state drives, it's a faster access, your computer runs faster, but they are more expensive. So what we did here with option 1 is we increased the input and output by putting in a 6 480 gig solid state drives, and then it had 24 1.2 terabyte regular hard drives. That gave us a total storage of about 31.68, which again is about where we're at. But it gives us better input and output. Now what that does is it takes the files that people use most often and keeps them in solid state drives. So it's faster access to it. When somebody goes to those, it gets that fast. Things that are rarely used, it puts down in the slower storage.
Prioritizes the.
Yeah, it prioritizes those files. So things that you don't use very often, it's going to put it on a disk that's down there spinning at a slower speed and keeping up other things at a higher speed. So it'll make the programs actually work faster, because those are the files that are accessed most often. So it'll give us some increased input and output, which will increase the performance of those servers. Option 2, the only difference here is, again, I was concerned about keeping the same storage. I want to be able to bump that up, because we're looking for, you know, a five-year plan here. That increased those 24 spinning disks to 1.8 terabyte each, which gave us a total storage of about 46 terabyte of storage. And you can see the cost difference, $72,000 to $86,000. Go to the third page, which has option 3. This adds the same solid-state drives, and you see it's only there's 7 solid-state drives and 7 1.2 terabyte drives in this Dell SCV 3220 or 3020. It adds a shelf then that has just spinning disks in it, and that's the EMC 300. Now that's a cheaper storage. So if you can take the storage out of that top unit and put it in an expandable shelf, then the storage itself, that the slower storage is a cheaper way to store. And you'll see that we go up to 59.76 terabytes of storage for $72,000, which compared to your last page, 72,000 with everything on the Dell storage array. We only had 31 terabyte there. For the same price, we can get 59 terabyte or almost 60 terabyte of data by utilizing a shelf. And the last option there on option 4, you'll notice the difference on it is that the solid state drives go up to 960 gigabyte instead of the 480, but it significantly increases the price because those solid state drives cost a lot. Now that would give us a lot more input-output, but at a price. So what I'm looking at, and there's one other option here, just to, because sometimes people ask me, is cloud backup the best?
That was going to be my question.
The last page shows you what cloud backup would be. It would be an annual cost of about $10,800 and a one-time cost of about $77.59 because we'd have to put an appliance here. For a 5-year average, or a 5-year cost of about $61,759. It sounds good up front, but that's only half of the problem. We also have to replace the units in-house. That's just the disaster recovery portion. So it is not cost effective to do it that way. Plus, we have to have a dedicated connection between here and Arion to do that backup. And that's assuming that if we have a disaster, that we have internet to get that recovery back. So I wanted to put it in there because a lot of people ask that question, you know, but if we just cheaper to put it online? Well, not really. I mean, there are some advantages. You know, you don't have the equipment, so you don't have renewal on that. That's stored there, but the disadvantage is, you know, how good a connection do you have, how reliable it is, and then there's some other connection costs that aren't figured in this. But I did want you to see that.
Have you, Western Iowa Networks has a cloud-based storage. You may want to check with that.
Good. Again, the same problems would be there.
Yeah, but I think the dedicated line would probably be a lot easier.
About a lot cheaper, and that's not even figured into here though. But if you look at the 61,000, really you're still over the cost of any one of these storage options for the DR site. So my recommendation, bang for the buck and long term, is option number 3, which is getting the 480 gig solid state drives and the 1.2 terabyte raw storage on a storage array, and then getting the Dell EMC shelf at 300 with the 12 4 terabyte drives and a total storage of right about 60 terabyte. I think that would keep us well positioned for the next 5 years. Everything's going to continue to grow. The images are going to continue to grow, and the software continues to take more operating. If you kind of notice on this one sheet where we're talking about the current virtual servers, and look and see how many of them are running Windows 2008. Those are going to have to be upgraded fairly soon. And we need the space to be able to create a new server, upgrade it to probably 2016, as long as the vendors are configured for it. Some of them aren't, and that's why we keep having to run an older operating system on some of them. Those 2008 machines are going to need to be upgraded. We need the space to create the new servers, set those programs up, and then we can get rid of the old servers after the new one's up and running and everything's running good. So we need the space to be able to do that. And the operating systems take more space than the old ones.
You budgeted for this?
Yes. We got $80,000 in next year's budget for equipment itself, and then we do have some money budgeted for the labor installs.
So when did you go with this? When would they be doing this?
We are, one of our storage units is end of life in August, so we'll be looking at doing it in September, or, July or early August.
So August it just shuts down?
No, it doesn't just shut down, but you run the risk.
Warranty's off.
Warranty's off, no
Yeah.
support. And they're.
I just wanted to get that
the-
clarified.
Yeah, the PS 6100s actually are at 5 years old, and I'm not too worried about them. The PS 4000 that's running in conjunction with them is a couple of years older, and we did extend the warranties on that out to end of life, so there will not be any support on those after August. And the other thing that kind of has kicked us in gear to get this done right away is that the Ecologix brand that Dell has is been discontinued. Of course, they always do that to you.
It's called marketing.
Yeah. Job security for Dell.
Yeah.
So, you pay the $33,000 up front, or 66, I guess, for the equipment, and then the $6,000 for the 5-year support. You also pay that up front.
That 6,000 is the, actually, on the RN, all those, all the numbers, the 33,000s and.
Look at one year.
Yeah, on this, the support, the 5-year support, that's another difference between IP Pathways and Arion. IP Pathways quoted as 3 years, Arion quoted as 5 years.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, and it is included in the price for the Arion support. The 6,000 is the installation.
Okay, that's it. Support up front, okay.
And that's pretty typical. You're paying your support up front. It's cheaper that way. Because we have done where we've done extended supports, and that's not cheap.
So you're recommending option 1, or option 3, I mean?
Option 3. I mean, it'd be nice to have all that, more IOPS, but that's quite a price to pay for that. And it will improve our IOPS now, just by going to the 480 gig solid states. Yeah, it'd be nice to have the 960, but I don't know that it's worth that. And it's expandable. You can go back in, both of those units are expandable. So you could go back in and say, well, somewhere down the road, you've got some big program that really needs the IOPS, then you could go in and change those drives out and take them up to 960 if you wanted to.
Right now you have 31.6, whatever, terabytes of storage. How much of that are you using?
We're getting close on it. We're above 75%, put it that way.
And who do you say you have now? Is it Arion?
Yeah, they do a lot of our work, and they
Yeah.
do a good job. 3 of their main techs are county people, former county people, so they understand the county environment. They've done a really good job.
So with going with this option number 3, the files that are used more frequently, that will be better go out to the public and to the customer?
No, it won't have anything to do with the public, it's all in-house.
Oh, it's all in?
We don't host our own website, so anything to the
So
public
it's
is.
just all in-house, you'll be able to
Right.
pull up those files quicker?
Right. So it'll be processing for the employees and, as far as running their programs, which, kind of depending on the day, sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not. It depends on what processes are running.
And you
at the
think
same
about
time.
people sitting and waiting for something to come up.
That's
You know,
what
they're
it's
getting
about.
paid while they're sitting there waiting,
Yeah.
so
And
it's,
it's
I
not
think it's really
horrible, but
important.
but it
not-
is.
It's not horrible.
Yeah, it's what you come to expect, I mean, 10 years ago, we would think this is just, super fast, but.
And some days are better than others.
Yeah.
And as this one gets towards its capacity, you will find the same route.
Mhm. Oh, sure.
It's-
But this is nice, this is expandable, we're more on the front edge of the technology and the equipment that they're using, rather than on the back edge, which we were kind of where we were at with those Equalogics. We're kind of in the latter years of their use. This will be a nice blend here between what Dell had and what EMC had to offer.
Well, it looks like you did your due diligence and you arrived at a good option for the county. Ariane has been a good, dependable company to work with, and I think that's important, because we could go with somebody else and have issues, and so they've got a good track record.
Well, we've tried some other too, and
Yeah.
just haven't had real good luck.
Yeah. I'd make a motion to approve the option 3 to purchase more sand storage.
I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second, any other discussion?
Do they want paid everything now, or after it's installed, or when?
I'm gonna try and pay some of, let's see what my budget has this year, and see if I can pay some of it this year and some of it next year.
Okay. But they're requesting full payment, not until.
They've been really good to work with, yeah.
Okay. See, no cash flow.
Anything else, questions or comments regarding that, option 3? If not, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, Carl.
Keep up the good work.
That will go down to second item on the agenda, secondary roads. Morning, Dave.
Morning, everyone.
Morning, Dave.
How's everybody today? Pretty good?
Good.
Doing some local work here.
Yeah.
Hog in the parking lot a little bit.
The parking lot's in worse
I
shape
don't
than I
mind.
thought it was.
I
It's
said
bad,
it's
isn't it?
bad, there's potholes everywhere.
They
Yeah.
are all over the place.
Yeah.
You don't have to look around very long.
That's that decracking there at all those joints, usually caused by limestone aggregate in there. Some counties were more susceptible to it too, just depending upon the aggregate they put in it.
You know, rebar showing in places.
Yeah.
Just that looks like the railroad.
There's rebar showing in places out there?
Rich, don't stand on it.
Yeah,
Bet
don't
you could
stand.
find some.
Boy, you can see rebar out in
Really?
some of the corners. out
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I thought of that the other day when I was standing there looking at it. Remind me of the railroad.
I don't know, if you wanna do something to it, we could probably, cut those holes out, patch those. Some idea. Got the equipment to do that. Patch them with concrete. You said something about asphalt, and
Well, I just want to know that price about, when we have guys in town, if it's going to get any better, this will be the most favorable price we can get if we just so choose to do that, which, that's a lot of money. I know it's going to be a lot of money.
I could make a pretty fast guess on that, because I know the price per ton.
You mean to put asphalt over top?
Just do the overlay, the whole schmear.
Well-
That's a lot of money though.
There's a lot of holes out there.
There is, and, but the bad part is,
We haven't had many people fall or out there?
we're gonna have to patch them even if we put asphalt in it though too. We're gonna do some type of.
No, I haven't received any complaints from anybody other than employees.
Yeah.
Well, regardless of what's employed,
Like you
but
said,
we don't want to say hurt.
No,
Of course,
no.
we have to
um,
wait.
Well, it's the motorcycle tests and, out there going on out there that I worry about more than anything else. I mean,
And that's kind of why we're doing what we're doing now. Zach's pretty good about going out and filling holes, but that doesn't, it's a temporary fix, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it works for a while and then.
Yeah, I'm sure that at some point in time, we're gonna have to take a look at that, but it doesn't appear that it's real bad right now. I mean, to a point where you.
There's certain
have-
spots that are bad.
Are they?
Yeah.
I guess I never paid too much.
That's why when we were talking about the jail and they were talking about getting into the driveway, I'm like, don't worry about it, because really.
A newer
we're not
driveway
talking
won't hurt
about
anything.
Top of the line facilities out there, right?
Yeah.
At some point, you probably are gonna have to look at.
Well,
doing
am
something.
I correct? I think the east side is probably worse than the west side, as far as
I would agree
potholes?
with that. Well, I haven't spent a lot
I
of time
park on the
that
west side, so I know, I don't know what it's like
Yeah,
on the
Where
east
Marty
side.
and I usually park over there
that's
in
where
the
it's
east.
worse.
It's pretty bad over there,
Yeah.
but that's also where the snow sits.
Snow sits,
So I
and that's
think
where
that
the-
stuff, like
The
the,
calcium.
whatever's in the.
Calcium
yeah.
gets it faster than.
I
anything.
think so.
I think you're
I'm not an
probably right.
expert. Not an expert.
We're our own worst enemy.
Yeah. Yeah, we have winters here.
So I guess probably keep patching until you get us a price and.
Yeah, I could have you a price pretty fast, it would probably be close.
How many patches you want him to put?
Well, the thing about it
It's
is
gonna-
that, you know, I mean, if you can pour some concrete out there in the bad spots right now, that might be the cheaper way to go, because once you put the asphalt down, this clock starts ticking
Yeah.
on when you're gonna have to replace
Do
that.
it again.
Yeah,
And it's
so.
got calcium underneath it, it may act up, you know, they always warned us with our bridge decks that had calcium underneath it, and then put asphalt, because we always used to resurface over them, but we never used to use salt.
Doesn't bond.
It doesn't bond, and actually, the concrete rots faster with the asphalt on it for some reason.
It traps the
Gets
silly
really
can.
rotten, and, yeah, kind of becomes like gravel or sand.
I think it's pretty good right now.
I do the bigger spots. I mean, the one of the rebars shown in the corners where those, like, there's four different sections, and
Mhm.
right in the corner is usually where those are at. And they're not very big, they're half the size of this table, maybe pretty close.
We get those, they cut it one day, you know, they could cut several patches and then bust them out with the skid steer loader that we've got that impact. And maybe we could work that out where there would be some efficiencies there.
Clean up a few and see where we go.
Okay. Got a couple utility permits. First one's with Raccoon Valley Electric Co-op. They're wanting to bore under 120th Street for a solar site in East Township. Says section 12 by Al's Corner. Pretty nice photo here.
We
that
just
shows
approved
where
that
it's at.
plat last week.
Hmm?
Just approved that plat last week.
So you're way ahead of me. Then we have one in the same area from rural water, from 120th Street going south a half mile in the ditch on the west side of Mahogany Avenue, a 2-inch water main. That's over in East 13, so that's just a little bit south of that. I'm not sure.
That's
really.
East 13?
East 13, yeah.
I don't think we approved this plat.
We did something for.
We did
This-
110th Street last week, 5 acres.
Is that the solar array northeast of?
Yeah, we
This-
did one.
We didn't do this.
I don't remember.
We did
No,
2
no,
weeks
no.
ago.
Yep.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
We approved the plat for that.
We approved one for Brian Huffman.
That is Brian up. That is the previous owner.
Oh, it's on the other side. I see where it's
Yeah.
at. Gotcha. Gotcha,
Brian
yep.
J. up.
Yep.
Remember, as my dad-in-law.
There you go.
said, I may not always be right, but I'm never wrong.
Yeah. You're the man, Gene. I was gonna say, I didn't think we did that last week.
No, it might have been.
No, it's 2 weeks ago.
Was your dad German utility?
Huh?
You use your dad German?
Yes, my dad-in-law always said that.
Don't tell him that. Dean, because you can't get his head out through the door pretty soon.
Where they make pins.
Pass this back around.
I'll make a motion to approve those 2 utility permits.
All right.
That's all you have, right, Dave?
Yes.
What was the second one? I'm sorry, I was.
That was a 2-inch
East
water
Road.
line in section 13, these just right close to it. Looks like by Victor Huffman's maybe?
Oh, south.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the real water one. This one's the real water one. Here,
He wants that one back.
I
That
gotta
one.
sign that one.
Just wants to go back up to Barney.
Just making a circle.
Yeah.
Here, Neil,
Signing
you
that,
want to
there's
take this
two
one too,
signatures
Neil?
on
How
each
about this
one.
one?
Okay, we got a
Passing stuff
motion.
all over the place.
I made a move.
We got a motion to approve the 2 utility permits. We need a second.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Now we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Looks like it's in that spot.
Yep. I haven't looked at it actually.
Yeah.
The operator called me.
I think Joe might have looked at it. He's off today, though. Next thing I've got is one drain is all, drain 66, Neil's favorite drain. Actually even is on his property. There's a hole in section 23, kind of where that circle is.
Good tenant, just go out there and fix it, and wait and build it, drain.
Lucky I got a good tenants, I do.
That's true.
That's one thing I've got is good operators on my property.
That's a huge plus, isn't it?
Got a big hole, or just
I drew a real big,
big circle?
Big
Big
circle.
circle on the map. It's there's a tile that goes, the county tile that goes between those 2 pits, and there's a problem with that somewhere. Yeah, the red line is the tile.
That's in Richland, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Richland, section 23.
Is that the only one?
That's the only one.
I'll make a motion to approve the repair.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to repair drain 66. Any other discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Slows down, Dave.
I've got a proposal from Smelling Construction Incorporated to crush concrete down at the fuel depot for the labor and equipment to do it, belt scale weighed, 4 magnets, 1 inch minus, $5.25 a ton to do the crushing, $350 to break up the really large pieces, which he told me that there wouldn't be just too many of those, but a provision for some of those monster pieces, and $11,500 for mobilization. Hopefully this will happen a little later on, when we've got a little more piled up in there to make the mobilization costs kind of average down a little lower.
How many tons do you think we have there?
I think we're in the 5,000 range right now, 5, 6,
6,000?
yeah.
I just wondering how much the mobilization's gonna add per ton.
Yeah. I bet, yeah, that,
About
that's
$2.
about $2 now, yeah.
With a,
And you said 350 for the big, to crush up, to bust up the bigger chunks?
$350, yeah.
And that's
Breaking
per
large
ton?
pieces to prepare for crushing.
That's just a one-time deal at 350?
No, if it's per hour. So if he had 5 hours in it, he'd, I don't think he's gonna have a long time in it.
How many,
He got some pretty
how many
healthy
tons do you say
equipment.
you thought there was there?
About 5,000-6,000.
So it'd be about a little over $7 a ton, plus breaking up the big pieces.
Yeah.
31,500 to do the crushing, but 11,000 to set up. That adds a lot to the price, don't it?
So let's say it's at $8 per ton would be, is catch it, I suppose.
I think it will, yeah.
Is that worth $8 a ton?
Yeah, for years, they've been paying that much for it. Years ago, when we first started doing this, I think some of the first stuff we bought was right in that $8 a ton range.
Well, I guess, since we should probably do it now, otherwise I'd be tempted to let the pile grow to reduce our cost per ton.
This
because of
is,
mobilization.
he's not gonna come in right now, but this is kind of getting him on the schedule. I'm gonna tell him we approved it, but we wanna be, I'd be this winter.
So we could have more tons than what we have now.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going through a construction season right now, so
We
it'll
don't-
grow.
Something will come in, we don't know
Yeah.
how much.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah.
Do we have any big concrete dumpers?
Somebody just
Contributors,
brought
I
about
should say.
240 tons in, we got all the American Home Shield concrete.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's hard to tell, it just all,
Yeah.
just when you think you're not gonna get any.
Will that
Shows up.
Litterdale piece create a lot of concrete out of that?
No, we'll get some asphalt millings out of that.
We're adding to the pile today.
Are we? Yes, we
I
are.
just saw concrete go by.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, well, what little.
Yeah.
We're charging him for that to go.
Howdy,
Courthouse
Courthouse.
parking lot.
Yeah, not a lot.
That was my intent, to hold him off. I think he wants to get this job in his list and have it, but, you know,
Be ready to go.
the more,
It's a winter job for him, in other words.
winter's the best with us because we've got a lot of dirt in there, and that dirt doesn't go through the crusher very well if it's been a rainy summer.
Oh, sure.
If it's frozen, goes through the crusher real
Sits
well.
out.
Doesn't, you'd think dirt would just be
Kind of messy.
not a problem, but it can be more of a problem than crushing the concrete.
In the winter, it'll either be, by then it'll either be washed out or frozen.
Yeah. And when I call him and tell him, I'm gonna ask him if he couldn't wait until, the weather gets cold.
Okay. Sounds like good business has to be put on the last of the list.
Yeah.
Or next to last.
Yeah.
It's-
We don't have a
like
big desire
contractor
to
Joe
need that.
come up with an
No.
instrumental to do that.
We wanna clear that other stuff out of
It'll be
there.
one
We
of
don't need to use it.
No.
If you had it done, fine. If you didn't have it done, that's fine also. Okay.
We're paying $15.64 for that crushed limestone shipped in.
How much?
$15.64.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's about half of some of those quotes we had.
Paid almost.
I'd move to approve Snelling for this job.
Okay, you got the motion?
4 magnets is a big selling point
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's,
Makes a difference. Got a motion on the floor, we need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve Schmeling for the crushing of the concrete. Any other discussion? Now we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Just information-wise, I got the market analysis for our Sholding project down at Manning from Hot Off Appraisal. They did a real nice job for what I thought was a real reasonable price. And got copies of just the conclusion, and there should be one in there for everybody.
Oh.
Here's the whole report, but there's a lot of things in there that are just
Oh.
supportive of what he concluded. Had some real good comparable sales on the second page. Time adjusted them to bring them into the future, bring them into the current time. And basically, we're between 10 and 11,000 for the tracks that we have in there. Looks to me, if I didn't make a mistake in adding this morning, we've got roughly 10 to 11 acres that we're gonna have to purchase down there, so say at 11,000, that'd be maybe 120,000 worth of purchases, but we'll use this, I think, probably this lower box here, first, second, third miles, there's a difference in the CSR, so pay a range between 10,000 and 11,000, basically. They're pretty small pieces, and sometimes you might have to get just a little bit more.
You use which box, track?
Track 1, 2, and 3, use between sections 19 and 20, use roughly 10,130.
Okay.
Between 29 and 30, use 10,921 due to the higher CSR. And track 3, between 31 and 32, 10,506. We could have taken this to the individual parcel, but that gets kind of silly. Probably the average CSR in the next line below that boxed out area to where you could use a value of $10,586 and just pay everybody the same amount of money. It's a 6 of one, half a dozen another. Either way, I think we'd be treating people fairly.
Mhm. Have we had any contacts with these individuals yet?
No.
Okay.
But it's getting to be that time.
Mhm.
And we've got the tools, we've got the right-of-way descriptions, plats, and this was the last key to the puzzle, other than going out and talking to them.
So we're planning on doing this next year?
Yes. That's what we got a program for, Gene.
Maybe on this one, smell, you need my signature on there, is that yours?
Whatever Marty uses, it's fine, as long as he's
You want me to
okay.
sign it?
Sure.
How long of a detour will this be, or will there be?
Oh, that's a good question. A lot of it depends upon the contractor. It could be, it's not that many yards, it's just 50-some thousand yards, but
Maybe it'll keep the road open fairly well.
maybe,
Doing some of it, but, I don't know. It's a little safer to close it, but
yeah.
I know that business is gonna be the hard push there.
We want to do it with scrapers if we can, just because of the economics, rather than making it a truck job. And they may have to put dirt on the road and cross from one side of the road to the other, so they don't break the road. They just kind of use it as a bridge. And, so that would keep them off there. I don't know what kind of luck, it's been a long time since we've done this. We've done a lot of shouldering in the past. But these are different days with the value. I've met with a lot of objection to the prices that we're offering. I'll have to come back and talk to you, but this would be the range that I would be in, staying close to those numbers.
I think that Scott has done an excellent job as far as farmland is concerned. However, some of this is what I would call an acreage.
Yeah, quite a bit of acreage, as I
And
recall.
I would think that the acreage would be worth more than the farmland. I hate to say that, but
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, he's just treating it as farmland.
Yeah, he's treating all as farmland. I think CSR2 is a very fair way of doing it. There's other things that come into consideration when buying farmland other than CSR2, but this is always a big factor as far as quality of land. And it's such a small area that the farm building location, thing like that isn't
I mean,
probably as important.
yeah, the numbers look okay to me, but, you know, like you're saying, I mean, there's trees gonna be removed, part of windbreaks, and
all those will have to be dealt with as damages. There's,
Yeah.
in our lines, there's other places to add additional
that.
compensation on, yeah.
Add that other compensation.
I think,
How do you approach a owner of an acreage? Now, farmland, I think this is just super fine, but,
Yeah.
you know, let's say it's between section B20 and it's worth 10,000 on 30 acre. And he says, yeah, but acreage is so for $20,000 an acre.
yeah.
How do you approach landowners such as that?
Couldn't argue with them,
Okay.
that's for sure. Pretty small amounts in front of some of these acreages, just, you know, a couple of tenths, maybe 2-3 tenths of an acre, so even if you did have to pay them twice as much, the actual
Yeah.
dollar amount wouldn't be huge.
I guess the owner of the property needs to consider that it's an improvement to their property too.
Yeah.
Get approved, even though they have less property, it would be more
Yeah,
valuable.
They probably won't see it that way, though.
Well, it's a fact that you need
Yeah.
to, I'm looking at both sides, but
Sure.
the acreage is probably more valuable than the cropland, and yet it'll improve the value of the acreage more than the farm.
The improved road will actually add value to it.
Both facts need to be considered, all facts need to be.
I thought there was one of those on the west side of the road that got pretty close to a building.
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna be taking any buildings.
You're not
We
gonna
try
have to take
Stay
any,
away from
yeah.
those, yeah. Just do our right-of-way lines around, yeah. We do everything we can to not make these complex as far as a taking,
Mhm.
to where, you know, they have to, they use the residual value of it, they damage the acreage so much, you know.
Do you think it's possible, and I'm not gonna pick on any particular person, but if a person would have an acreage and they wouldn't be reasonable, I don't know what reasonable is in this case, could their shoulder be widened and yet their acreage left alone or not? Do you think
Lot of
small
things are
areas could be
possible.
skipped?
They could, yeah.
That's an option that we
Just
have.
narrow the ditch up, I
Narrow the
guess, is
ditch.
what you're doing.
Yeah, it depends on the location, of course.
Narrow the ditch, steepen the slope.
Yeah.
Don't do anything, narrow the shoulder.
Okay, we have a lot of options then.
Yeah, there's, and really, you know, if you're doing a tenth or two of an acre, a small acquisition, even if the unit price is 20,000. We have to justify what we're doing, though.
It'd be interesting to see what your response is, whether they're welcoming with open arms because of the improvement or
You don't know?
don't know, or not once you're there because they like things the way they are and they don't want to lose a tenth of an acre of ground.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting.
it will. I guess this is kind of where we always start, you know, with something like this, with the CSR. You know, there's been times that we've had to go back and revisit the whole job just because of the condemnation that we had, that we weren't offering enough, and the condemnation jury told us we weren't, so we had to go back and adjust everyone that we had purchased from along the whole route, and which was really pretty easy to do.
I think the big difference is, first of all, is the improvement, which if I was a landowner, I would like. Secondly, it's not a voluntary sale. It's not like I had my land for sale, this is what I want for it.
Mhm.
It's like an involuntary sale, which is somebody walks up to you and says, I'm going to take or would like to take this piece of your farm. You didn't want to give it up in the first place, so I can see where they'd want a little more for it being an involuntary sale.
Yeah.
But we're trying to make it voluntary. Okay, you've got your work cut out for you.
Yeah.
In human relations, we'll wish you best of luck.
Yeah.
May go like a breeze, you never know.
Yeah, it's,
Don't know.
Each individual is gonna be different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna look at it
I think
differently.
so.
Yeah.
Marty, you're right.
Yeah.
I get going, I won't make any decisions involving, you know, large amounts of money. I'll come back to you guys and tell you, hey, this acreage owner wants 20 grand an acre for this, which may not be unreasonable.
When are you gonna start contacting the landowners?
I don't know if I'll be doing it this week or not, but I
So,
soon. the railroad one is back.
Maybe business as usual down there.
Yeah, so that's really good.
Probably not 100%, but
Yeah, he's back.
He's back.
He just is.
So you were just the assistant road foreman?
I'm not even worried to that.
Intern?
Intern, maybe.
You probably get dismissed.
Yeah, I walked upstairs and breathed a sigh of relief.
Don't look bad.
glad that's over.
I don't have anything else.
I visited with Todd on Friday. I told you to get to us at the end of this week, so Friday, anything from him, I'll call you on Friday.
Okay. I could probably go look at Beaver Dam later.
We'll keep in touch, we'll see what this weather does.
Okay. Thank you much.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, with that, we'll go down to item 3. We've got a plat in our packet, so everyone had a chance to review that.
Yeah, it looks like you're heading more property to the south.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of unique, and that's a correction section, but, yeah, I didn't have any problem with it.
I'll make a motion to approve the plat.
I'll second that
Okay.
motion.
A motion and a second to approve the plats. Any other discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, with that, we'll go down to item number 4, just to review the letter to FAA. And just kind of a prelude to that discussion, Rich and I met with Steve King and Wilsie Kretzinger. And when we had basically a phone call to Sue Ann Edmondson, is from FAA. And we are basically just wanting some clarity on how the new zoning ordinance, the 20,000 feet, is gonna impact the county. And we would like to have somebody from FAA come out and kind of do a tour of the area and give us a little more clarity as far as how it's gonna affect the area around the airport.
So how was the visit with Steve King and Wilson?
When they addressed it, they said something, we need to look at something as far as what's there is basically grandfathered, was a statement that they made. And we're just looking at it from the aspect of the economic development in that area is our concern. And they thought something needed to be addressed.
He was quite receptive of it. He had a very valid point that the best way to resolve this is to get a person on the ground that can make decisions, so we can sit down and go face to face and ask these questions about what we're seeing in the original. As we originally look at it, it's got some real issues that's going to affect the economic development of cities, and it's going to really affect the timeline of everything that's built or maybe repaired. We don't know where that fits in. Agriculture is certainly going to take another hit on this. I thought Steve was pretty good about it because he didn't know if this a blanket policy that the FAA has just lowered on all regional airports, or if this is a particular ruling on this particular airport. And those are the questions that we have, and we need to, I think a face-to-face will work in great benefit to all the concerned parties. As we first look at it, in fact, one of the things that caught my ear the first time was when Carroll made the statement that we have a bin that's being built about 3.5, 4 miles?
This crow flies probably only about 2.5 miles.
2.5 miles from the airport. And the ground that the bin is setting on is out of compliance.
The ground.
So
The bin would have to be 10 feet in the ground to be built.
The ground, yeah. So we have some issues going on that,
So the elevation of the ground.
being the airport's in the bottom of the bowl, this is, the new ordinance is kind of like a big stadium, you know, and the higher you go, that's how it works. Well, being this is really in a low spot, it's really amplified our problems. The city-
That's a really good point there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
The ratio is 100 to 1. For every 100 feet you go
Sure.
up, you get 1 foot of elevation. And that takes into account the ground elevation and then actually the building site.
And some of the biggest concerns that I have are your automatic 45-day waiting period to get a ruling. So if you go to build a home in the eastern part of the city of Carroll, that radius, and the entire city of Glidden, you're gonna have to jump through an extra hoop. Which investors, as they look at pieces of property, they have a pool of money, they hire a contractor, they want to get it built, and they want to get it on the market, because they know that those windows are small for their most profitable areas. And that extra 45 days is going to make a lot of these investors maybe take a second look at this. They're going to step back and say, that might put us out of the market that we want to hit. So those are the issues we need to, like I say, I don't know that these are all 100% sure, but as we read it, it's very confusing. I don't know if the hospital could get caught in a position where they have to change an air conditioner and it's 4 feet higher, 4 inches taller on the top of their building, if they could get denied. I don't know whether their maintenance fits in this. The rule is so vague. So that's why I think the sit down is gonna have to be a done deal. That's the only way we're gonna know.
Would the Ashworth division, which is a commercial division, it's in the southeast part of town, be a problem issue? They'd have to have every one of those, any construction there approved.
Yes.
It basically comes to Main Street.
Almost Main Street East.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying that's a fairly high altitude place.
Yep.
Yeah.
South of Farner. And the situation we have, even if it was approved for building, and they want to add an air conditioner or safety ladder or anything on top of it, that it could be denied or have to jump through this.
Or a 45-day waiting period.
And even replacement of communication tower.
Yeah.
We're affected.
Yeah. 1
So-
inch tower.
So how, this expanded out, what, another 3 miles?
Basically.
This goes out to
From the
20,000
Two
feet.
miles. Well, it was 10,000, now it's 20,000.
It's 20,000.
So about 2 miles.
It's
It doubles
not
it.
quite, well, 5,280 feet, so it's not quite
2 miles.
full.
Well, I think that 10,000 is ridiculous in itself without,
Yeah. And it's all based off of regional dollars as
The thing is, you
airport
go to
dollars.
any major airport, there are buildings right around it.
Mhm.
I mean,
well, look at
what-
Ankeny.
Yeah,
I mean,
how
that's
they
built,
expect
that's built down, you know, lower than Delaware Avenue in Ankeny.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
to the east.
Yeah.
Since this is the federal and not the state aviation administration, think of Washington DC. Have you ever gone into Kennedy Airport? or
sure,
anything like
it's
that?
the same way.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we really need to sit down here because I think it's just, everything's so gray. And,
I would do have a question on this letter. It said that any future development, we are also concerned with the letter granting construction of agriculture building site. Is that the determination of no hazards navigation letter? Is that what we're talking about?
Right, right.
Okay, it says granting construction. It was more, it wasn't granting construction, that letter, it was the determination of no hazard to air navigation. I think that should be changed
Yeah.
for accuracy of this letter. It should, rather than the letter granting construction of an agriculture building, it should say a letter determination of no hazard to air navigation. That would be
Yeah, that
correct.
would clarify it, yeah. I have no problem.
And
Because if they read that attached letter that doesn't grant construction, they may think we're not being fair with them, and I don't want to be honest with them.
So, with a letter for determination of no hazard to air navigation.
Yeah. Take it right off their
Okay.
title.
I got it right here.
And strike the word granting.
No, I don't think you have it.
I
right
don't
there.
have that one. Let's make sure I wrote it down right.
I didn't know if that was
Okay.
what would be attached, because it was not attached to our letter.
And on the, I guess it's the third sentence, it will also impact future agricultural expansion of building agricultural buildings. I would suggest saying expansion of building agricultural structures as opposed to buildings.
Yeah,
You know, because, you know, you're gonna have
Structures-
agricultural structures.
Structures or bins and
Yes.
all that good stuff, not, but yeah. I
So
would like,
change, scratch it out and go to structures.
I like that too, Dean.
And I guess when we get down here, this regulation will also impact cities in Carroll, Glidden. With any future development, we are also concerned with the letter granting construction of agriculture bill, or the change that we're gonna make in there, but I guess I would kind of, you know, I mean, we are also concerned, we would like to see, I think there's a better way to you know, to construct that, to make it probably maybe another paragraph, like saying, we would also like to invite somebody from the FAA to, you know, make it an invitation instead of,
Yeah.
we would like to, like someone from the FAA, or FAA to come to Carroll.
But we're concerned with how this process of new regulation will work.
Yeah.
Because that's what we have as a true concern.
Yep. And then I would, on the last sentence, we would like to invite someone from the FFA, instead of saying we also like to have someone from the FFA come to, we just invite them.
Invite.
Yeah. Structure that so it says invite instead of ask
Okay.
them to come.
Sure. Rather than someone, do we want to request a certain person, someone with authority?
I think Steve's office was really wanting to get involved with that, because he really emphasized of bringing someone in, not just a person, but he wants someone that can say, you know, that ruling really isn't correct, or this is what we're gonna do. Well, somebody with that.
Some of the authority that can make an impact.
Make an impact, correct. So rather than go back and forth for years in advance, you know, because he knows how that
Right.
works.
I mean, you get some staffer that comes out here and say, well, I'll go talk to my boss about it.
Yeah, that's what I don't want to happen.
Yeah.
Have your boss come out.
Gonna
So,
play cat chase and tail.
That's right.
How do we correct, stop that happening, or get the correct key person?
Terminology in there.
Well, who is this,
Suanna Edmonds.
yeah, who is she?
She's, I'm not sure what her title is,
She,
actually.
never mind.
All I've got is her email there. But Steve King is the one that contacted her and put us in contact with her on Tuesday. We had her on the phone,
Okay.
but I don't know exactly what her title is.
We got her number, call her back. Find
Got
out
an
who she
email.
is.
We got an email.
We got an email for her.
I don't know how to say that, invite an authoritative person or persons, or what would be correct term to use there?
You know, is there a regional administrator?
Do you have any word merchants here that are press or anything that?
Is there a regional administrator that, you know, that determines these things? Where we got that letter the last time, who was that from? You got that letter?
Jeff Petering, PE, Airport Planning Engineer, Iowa, FAA, out of Kansas City.
So he's determining, he made a determination, correct?
Mhm.
He's the one the email went to Greg Seaman.
Mhm.
Saying
There-
we would like to invite someone with the authority to make decisions in our area. or-
Whether it be, who can make regional decisions in
Actually,
our
I think there
area.
is a phone number on that letter.
There is.
You got your Supervisors May?
Regional administrators, Senior Office Morning,
Okay,
They could probably tell you who to come.
How about a proper representative?
Appropriate.
Appropriate
Yeah.
representative?
Could be
Who has the authority to determine?
Chantel is saying that they have regional administrators in Cedar Rapids, Warren, City.
Just ask for a regional administrator
Yeah.
to come and, because you do have a contact there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Chantel is the contact. We
I'll
can,
send it to.
okay.
Courtney.
All right. I
So
would,
we would like to invite an appropriate regional administrator to come to Carroll to do a tour of the area impacted. Or do you want to say it differently?
I'd say that should cover it.
mhm.
it, probably one of those regulations that looks better on paper than does in reality, because they didn't take into consideration that our airport is built in a very low,
Sure.
The airport's actually, let's not say low, it's built in a floodplain.
it's at sea level, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it is in the floodplain.
It is.
There's no denial about
There's no
that.
deny about it. It is built there, so you're already in a very low position. Like I said, if this was a blanket thing for all regional, I understand, but there's gotta be exceptions for some of these. Because it's making a pretty good hardship on,
I think we're in agreement with sending this letter as amended. Do we have the amended letter at the next meeting, or do we just have Marty correct this letter and give him authority today to sign it?
I would like to do that, and at least get the ball rolling a little
Yeah,
bit.
'cause
I think you understand our intentions.
Yeah.
Well, I could make the corrections and forward it to you, and we could make the motion today to approve it,
Based
subject
on-
to.
Subject to any comments.
Yeah, prior review before signature or something like that.
Because Wilsey Kretzinger did call me on Friday, and he wants to keep this ball rolling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he said that time is of importance.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you want to keep going on it, because this thing could have a big detriment on all kinds of economic development.
Yes, yeah.
Well, then let's keep it rolling. I'll move that we authorize our chairperson to sign a letter to the FAA. And Marty, understand what corrections we want or changes. we want.
And I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, with that, we're down to item number 6, is the manure management annual update.
Move
Five.
Ordinance 27, excuse me. Right. Had conversation.
Tried to
with-
get rid of this once.
Yeah.
Didn't.
Had conversation with John Worden last week in regard to this ordinance for ragbri, and it has to do with setting up the vendors for ragbri. Also, on Wednesday evening, I was over in Denison at a meeting, and I got a copy of the one from Crawford County also, and I can pass that one around. But we do have to have the ordinance. I think at this point, I think we could just amend the old ordinance that we had from July of 2006, just change the dates on it, or if there's anything you guys want to add. I mean, we've got a little time on this, but.
Well, that section 4 has got all different
Yeah.
communities in it, and that's got to be changed.
Yeah,
I mean, that's going to be Manning.
Manning and
Templeton,
Coon Rapids.
Dedham, and Coon
Yeah.
Rapids.
yeah,
Yeah, just make the appropriate changes.
yeah. And then
This looks pretty similar to what,
Crawford's is.
so yeah.
So, do you want to make those changes and run it by us again next week, or?
That's what I would say, if that's all right with you, just have John update it.
Yeah, I'd say just get it updated. Because we got a little time on that.
Yeah,
I think that looks just about like this.
yeah, it's pretty similar.
So you don't need a motion on it, do you?
No,
Let's just get John updated.
Courtney, you just want to forward that to John, have him updated then, or you want me to?
Well, I guess he's probably gonna ask me where the locations are that are impacted.
Yeah, 'cause it'll be.
I don't know.
It'll be Manning, Templeton.
But we don't have to worry about, we only have to worry about the unincorporated areas.
I don't think they're going through any unincorporated areas either.
Well, we've approved a beer permit
beer
for
permit for
one in
one.
an unincorporated area down by
I mean,
Coon.
we don't have any unincorporated villages that they're going to, do they? Do we?
No.
No, it'd just be.
Yeah, I mean, these are along county roads, so I guess we just need to know where the
The actual
route
Where the route
is, and then
is,
we would,
so you can define that.
I guess.
I think does Dave have a copy of that route?
He should.
Yeah.
It's online.
Okay.
Be on,
Alright.
should be online.
I'll find the route and maybe send the route and this to John, and maybe he and Carl can work out,
The details.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then we'll just, whenever we get it back, then we'll approve it.
Yeah, we'll have to to amend it, we'll have to set a reading, public hearing for the first reading, and then hopefully if it's okay, we can maybe waive the second, third, depending on how it goes. We'll have to publish it.
Right,
So-
yeah, because we'll have 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks to publish it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rag Bry's at the end of July, right?
Right.
23rd, if I remember right.
Okay, so we do have some time, but we
Yeah.
probably should keep moving.
Is that not in the public?
Which letter?
One for to the FAA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it
The
will.
one that he's gonna sign, or the one that we're referring to, or both?
Both.
Okay, I can email it
Yeah,
to you.
that's right.
I'll probably email you the one with the changes, so you have,
Okay.
you have the correct one.
Up to date.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
I don't want you reading it and then be like, wait a minute.
No,
That's not what
I
we said.
know that they.
Go door.
Yeah, no, I'll send that to you.
We'll
Thank
do
you.
that.
Yes.
So, okay, we'll just wait to do that when we get it back. Okay, that we'll go down to manure management annual updates. We have 3 of them today. One's in section 12 of Pleasant Valley Township, and it's their original plan update. Another one in section 25 of Pleasant Valley, and that's also an original plan update. And the third one is in section 9 of Union Township, and that's an original plan update. So that's goes down to Courtney.
Comes a small tree.
With that, we'll go to committee reports. Rich, you want to start us off?
Yes, well, Tuesday was my active day last week. Marty and I met with Representative King, and we discussed the FAA issue, and to quite at length. I thought that all went well, and I thank Representative King for taking the time to come. Then in the afternoon, we went through the jail discussion, with the jail committee. I think that's going pretty good. I think our window to get closure on that's rapidly approaching, I think faster than we think. So I guess I'm glad, I hope the jail committee can move it on now from this point, get us a proposal out so we can kind of make some decisions here fairly quickly. Other than that, I did not have anything else last week, and this week is primarily open at this point.
Thanks, Rich. Dean?
I just had the jail committee meeting last week, and I still think we got a ways to go there. And I'd have nothing for this week.
Thanks, Dean. Neil?
Okay, last week on Monday, I signed checks for RSVP and foster grandparents. Participated in the blood draws, many of you did. And Tuesday, also as a member of the jail committee, attended that. We're going to meet again this afternoon, or late after the meeting. We're going to meet with the Sheriff Pendry to kind of finalize some of the things talked about at the meeting last Tuesday. I visited with Representative Best this morning. They have concluded their, I guess he's a private citizen now. Well, he's still legislative. The legislative session has been brought to a close, and they've accomplished a lot of things. If you heard in the news, of course, Iowa's now the most life-friendly state in the nation. Also did some work. I had a lot of questions on the at the last jail committee on the financing of things. I was answering in abstract areas, so I asked Courtney for some information, which she provided. Carroll has the 4th lowest taxable valuation or levy rate as of FY15 in the state of Iowa. Dickinson is least, followed by Ida, then Dallas, and then Carroll County. And I also wanted to find out how much value is protected from taxation by the county for TIF, which is not protected by debt, and it is 74, almost $75 million. So thank you, Courtney, for flagging information. This week, today, I'm going to meet with Renee Van Borken involving some handbook and some union issues, and talk about the jail committee.
Talking about handbook, Darrell, we have an issue with an ambulance thing that he's gonna have to write a policy about returning to work if we're going to continue covering these people on workman's comp. Because if they're off for a doctor's medical leave, we want to make sure that they're correct coming back so we don't get trapped. So we're going to put out some, so that handbook, that's something maybe we may be adding to, or looking at the handbook again and revisiting that with the ambulance side. So now I'm glad when you said handbook, that's what brought that back up. Carrie had kind of forgotten about that.
Daryl's well aware of that.
We're right, and we're working on that, so.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Gene?
This last week on Tuesday was at the jail committee meeting, and then Thursday and Friday was the ISAC Supervisors Executive Board retreat that we held between Manning and Templeton. And we went through the August school, our annual meeting, trying to set up some topics for that. We also did the new officer school and also the statewide. We filled in some slots, and people will start to see if we can get those people, the speakers, to be there, and see if that will happen or not. One other thing that we did, they had give us a presentation on base camp demo, which is, right now, the supervisor has their own website for it, and they're changing that to this base camp thing. So you will be seeing that come out, and you set up your own password. It's gonna be a lot more, it's gonna be kind of more personalized to what let's say, if you're involved with the legislative lobby committee or something, they'll put you in that group or something like that besides the regular supervisors. Or if you're on the executive board, they'll do that. If you're involved with NACO or some NACO committee. So that's what they're after there. One of the topics that we talked about, and we've talked about this before, and I don't think it's going to be an issue for Carroll County, is getting CEUs for supervisors. Trying to get people, because we have some people that don't do any training whatsoever, and by picking them up when they go to fall school, spring school. So they have started a committee on that. It's Berlin Matthews, and there was a guy sitting next to him said yes. And at the same time, that guy looked over his shoulder and said, I thought you were going to start saying no, and that was me. And then Bill Peterson and Denny Wright. So we're going to start having discussions on it. I think we're going to try to get this thing where it's kind of more of a voluntary thing. We don't want to be too pushy on it, and just trying to get people to get more involved in keeping up on education and stuff and being more in tune. So, and then we did renew our lobbyist contract again with Jamie and Lucas. They've done a very good job this year. I was working on it this year being some president and supervisor. They've been real good to work with. They've always contacted me when they needed me and stuff. And I did, matter of fact, I had a discussion with Jamie this morning, because one of the things that, and I think I told you guys all before, the backfill bill fell through the cracks this year. We're not gonna have anything, there's nothing in place right now. We know it's gonna happen sometime. But as of Friday, they came with a scenario where they took the increase of valuation from 12 to 17, and then the average, state average increase was 19.51. If you were above that, your backfill was gonna have to be reduced over a 3-year period. If your backfill was below that, you had 6 years to get your backfill reduced. So they were picking winners and losers on that thing. And Carroll County was gonna be one of them losers, because we were at 24-point-some%. So anyway, for now, it's all off the table, nothing's happened to the backfill. It was right up to the last minute, but I'm glad to hear that, so. And then we did go out and tour, the spouses toured Manning, and then later on, we all toured over at Templeton, some different businesses at Templeton Rye and Madam Mary. And even after me, we had yet on Saturday, or Friday, some of the board members went over to the house barn and toured that yet, so. I thought, and overall, it went very well. So that's my week. And this week, I should talk about this week. This week I've got, we've got ambulance union negotiations jail meeting this afternoon, I think. And handbook. I've got CADC on Tuesday, and then I think, is there also, I think I'm invited to an open house too this week, and I can't tell you what day that is for sure.
Second one, REG.
Yeah.
That's Wednesday.
That's Wednesday this week?
Yep.
So Wednesday I'll probably go to REG. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Gene.
Huh?
I'm not gonna go to Journey's open house on Friday. Journey's, you know,
What was that, Friday?
What's Friday?
Didn't know anything about it.
Journeys?
Journey.
Open? No, I'm ready to
it's Friday.
I think it's Friday.
Yeah.
Do some journey.
go. We bet we'll have something to do Friday.
Huh?
Probably will have something to do Friday now.
Okay, on Tuesday, we had the meeting on the FAA with Steve King and Wilson Kretzinger. We pretty much went through that. I will compliment Wilson Kretzinger. He's been following up every time I turn around. He's seeing how we're coming with it, so I have to give him some compliments on his follow-ups for that. And then Tuesday afternoon, we had the jail meeting, and we've come a long ways there, and thanks to Neil and Gene, we've got a lot done, but we've got a little ways to go yet, and hopefully we get the ball rolling there so we can get that kind of on track. And on Wednesday, I had to go to Region 12 to sign checks, and then also on Thursday, got in contact with Todd Grossman in regards to Drain 90. We've got a beaver dam on that, and we're gonna try and get something lined up on that this week to get that knocked out. And then also Thursday and Friday was the ISAC retreat in Templeton. Manning and Gene pretty well covered that. This week, I've got a solid waste board meeting tomorrow morning, and then, like I said, I'll be following up on Drain 90. So that's pretty much my schedule. So, Courtney, you got anything you want to add?
No. Just go back to week here. Have a public hearing next week at 10 for ordinance 14, which is the zoning with the fence.
Oh.
The Carroll
Yep.
is here. And it's building.
I think the fence is up.
So, we have that this week, and that, well, and then we'll talk about ordinance 27.
Yeah.
Do we have the vote on Woodbury County?
That's on the
Regional
21st. I
21st.
said it next week, but it's on the 21st, I believe.
Has there been anything else going on about that? Yeah.
No, not, Foxhoven has said that they cannot stand on their own, and the law says that they can, so they're gonna apply for an exemption. I don't know. The situation is, even if the counties, majority of the counties, do vote to let Woodbury and Rolling Hills, I think if they're required to be within Sioux Rivers, they won't be able to meet our financial requirements, because they'll be told how to spend rather than be on their own. Whereas if they're granted their exemption, or they go off their own for whatever reason, I think they will be able to meet the requirements. So it's all up in the air right now, Gene. That, no, we haven't had any meetings with Rolling Hills since our.
So, do you think the majority of the Rolling Hills boards are gonna approve it?
Yes, I do. And I don't know.
goes.
I don't know.
You know, it passed in Cherokee County on a 3-2 vote, and they had a staunch supporter of it on that board. I think Buena Vista County voted 5-0 in favor of it, and he didn't know how it was gonna go. So I'm in a pretty poor situation to predict how Ida County and other counties are gonna vote for it. I think that Crawford would vote against it, but who knows?
I had that discussion with Eric, I think they'll vote against it also.
Who?
Eric Scoot,
Yeah.
Crawford.
The only thing I could see it changing if the vote would happen to wait to hit the county level until after the election, where you've got some new members, where SAC could swing one way or
Oh,
another.
they're gonna have two.
No, they gotta vote within 30 days.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's all gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. They gotta vote within 30 days.
So, you know, whatever, however they voted, I'm betting that's how they go.
If they don't vote within 30 days after Dawn meets with them, it's considered a no vote. That's the way the 20E is written up.
Okay, anything else? Any comments from those in attendance? Okay. With that, we're in order for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.